I may not be a fall baby, but I love this time of year. Autumn in New York is crisp air, cozy sweaters, and warm flavors just make everything feel comforting. I mentioned I'm getting married. Super busy, everybody is in town, and I want to look my best. Healthy eating is the primary focus, and with Green Chef, the number one meal kit for clean eating, you can do just that. Green Chef makes it easy to spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying fall. And with their new Heat and Eat meals, enjoy a delicious, wholesome meal in just 3 minutes. Perfect for supporting your wellness journey, Green Chef recipes feature fresh, organic, seasonal produce and 100% responsibly sourced proteins to help you feel your best. Green Chef's real clean ingredients help you build lasting, healthy habits without the hassle. Enjoy salads ready in just 5 minutes, protein filled breakfasts, or nutrient rich smoothies to fuel your day. Green Chef is ready to nurture your nutritional needs. I use this and you should too. I mentioned I'm getting married. Oh my goodness, it is the week of the wedding. Oh my goodness, I mentioned I'm getting married. It's the week of the wedding. Diego and I have been cooking up a storm, but we don't have a lot of time, so we just tried their baked lemon pepper tilapia with feta. It was the perfect nutritional meal to keep us energized. I loved the feta cheese to give it a little bit of extra oomph. It's so delicious. You'll love it as much as we did. Make this fall your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50 tags and use code 50 tags to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50 tags at greenchef.com/50 tags. What is going on? You are listening to Tags Podcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex. This is episode 708. I am your host, Stevie V, and on this episode, post-wedding, that's right, you may have heard me talk about my wedding. Oh, we will have a few more details for you coming up in the next couple of episodes, but on this episode, I just thought it would be great to revisit some stellar episodes with some special guests. Starting off with Dr. Chris Bustamante. We love talking to Chris, and we are going to give you all the information on things that you could implement that will help you out, like Scrotex. And if you wanted to add size, this is the man that can help you out. You want to listen to him because we could all use a little touch here and there. And I am so excited to have him on the show again. We're also going to be talking to Matchmaker Cheryl Maida, who's going to give us tips and tricks on how she works for finding your true love, plus dating tips as well. So both interviews coming up on this, but let's get started with Chris Bustamante and learn all about the things you can implement for looking and feeling our best. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, Boo.
Good, good.
How are you both doing?
We are great. Happy
How are
Pride
you?
Month.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Yes, I know. I feel like it's already summer. I don't know. It happened so fast for me, but I'm excited to be joining you guys today. It's been a while.
It has
Yeah.
been. And for those that maybe don't remember or listening to the show, Dr. Chris Bustamante is an aesthetic nurse practitioner, and we've been there, Lushful Aesthetics, and you do all kinds of treatments. We've been benefited from them. Thank you so much. But we want to get into all good things about you. But before we get into what you guys offer, and it's always a good refresher course, there has been a difference between wanting to look good and perform your best with enhancements versus an ideal type of look that I know you guys talk about with Lushful Aesthetics. Where do you draw the line of, because often we talk about on this show of wanting to look your best, be your best, but how has it gone too far in your mind?
Yeah, I think that overall it's pretty subjective, right? Like it'll vary a bit from person to person. You have to kind of have that conversation within yourself of why you're doing certain procedures. When we practice aesthetic medicine as providers, we are always assessing the patient. When it sometimes is direct and other times it's just kind of observationally as you're kind of having the conversation about what it may be you're talking about, whether this person has realistic expectations, what work they've already had done prior, what are their goals, and kind of going off of that. And being able to see, like, is it in their patient's best interest to proceed with an aesthetic treatment? Because, when it's an elective treatment and it's all just about being able to make sure the patient's going to be safe, they have a reasonable expectation of what the outcome is going to be, and that ultimately that they can be made happy.
Mm.
Because for people who aren't in the best of spirits or going through a hard time or maybe have a more deeper, more advanced mental illness, they're not made happy from these treatments, right? There's always going to still be some disappointment or or maybe just a generally like discontentment with whatever they may be receiving, and that's what we want to avoid treating, right? So this isn't heart surgery. This is not like a necessity to survive, and
Hmm.
so we always want to make sure that you're working with generally happy people, that you're just able to make them feel more confident with themselves, and it's meant to make you feel better and not shouldn't be something that you feel as deeming as necessary.
I love that. And, recently we've seen the likes of Kylie Jenner really give her recipe for her boobs. Many people were asking, and one person wrote out there, how do I get your perfect boobs? And Kylie Jenner actually put it up, the CCs, who
Yeah,
her
the breast
doctor
implant.
was.
Yeah.
In
What?
your Yeah, and
Yeah.
in your arena, other celebrities like Boomer Banks, who's huge, like one of your
Literally.
clients who we all love, he's been on our live show before, is very open. You put videos up. What do you think the power is, and why do you think celebrities today are actually putting themselves out there and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, and how do you think that impacts the rest of us?
I think there's two aspects to it. I think that there's people who are genuinely honest and want to just break the stigma when it comes to aesthetic treatments, because the reality is that if you look at the statistics, I mean, most people are dabbling. It doesn't always mean people are having surgery, but people are dabbling with Botox, people are dabbling with filler, in different capacities, right? And so the reality is now it is pretty mainstream. If you're in an urban area, you're probably going to encounter a friend or someone else that has done some of these treatments. So I think that when it's meant with good intentions, it's really just about decreasing the stigma, not feeling like you have to hide anything from people that are
Mhm.
in your social circles, because it feels uncomfortable, right? Like the idea of like having to sort of elephant in the room, like, yeah, you get Botox done and you feel like you can't talk about it amongst your friends.
Right.
Like it just kind of feels weird. But in the case of some celebrities, I do know that for some people, the new trend is to kind of mention the less stigmatized procedures and
Oh,
use it as sort of like a layer. Well, it's like, well, I do this, so they can kind of avoid talking about this.
Right.
A good
okay.
example is like Lindsay Lohan, which is highly speculated with her recent look of having um, a, a facelift, brow lift, upper left, the works surgically,
That works.
and her not acknowledging that, but she's like, I could just get Botox done. Everyone gets Botox done, and it's like, so by sort of mentioning the less invasive procedure, she feels like she's kind of hiding behind what we know is more of a surgical intervention. Kind of like what people did like 5 years ago, where it's like, well, I'm just really on top of my monthly facials. And it's like
You look 20 years
okay.
younger, girl. Are you serious?
Exactly, exactly. So I think it's a matter of perspective on who you're talking about. But I do think that there is really good people out there who are just comfortable with being able to be open about certain things. But even when it comes to celebrities, though, I don't feel like anyone owes us what like that they need to say what they've had done. I just think probably best not to like lie and say that you haven't had it done. You don't have to answer the question.
Yeah,
Good. I
exactly.
love it.
There it is. Then you can
Yeah.
say that's personal to me. So,
Yeah, you can just say like I think like I think everyone's entitled to what they're doing, and that's that. Let's move on to the next question.
Fabulous. I love you. You're media trained and I adore
Ah,
it. Well, you brought up trends, and I'm very curious about what the trends are that you've seen pop up in the past few years as far as cosmetic surgery is considered. Because I'm looking for my next surgery. I'm going to be coming to see you very soon. So tell me what's going on nowadays.
Well, in my world, a lot of the things that I focus on are sexual enhancement procedures, and penis filler and scrotum filler have been like kind of just what I do on a daily basis now. And so I always kind of say when I talk to the press about penis filler is that it's really like the breast implants of the early 2000s where like everyone's doing it, but no one's talking about it yet. And now people are really kind of just starting to talk about it. I've had more people on my social willing to kind of just be open with their social platforms that they're having these procedures done, which I think is really empowering and cool. And excuse me, allows people to kind of see that this is just another option that people can pursue if they want to boost their confidence. Boomer was really open about getting scrotum filler done, and I think that that was really cool. We did a really fun collaboration over that. I always joked with him. I've known him for a long time. I think it's going on like 7 years, and I think everyone's pretty familiar in our world with Boomer Banks and his massive penis. And
Yes.
I always joked with him. I was like, you have these average sized balls and this huge penis. I was like, we should balance them out. And he's like, yeah, babe, let's do that. And I was just like, okay.
Only you and
So
your aesthetic eye would say something like that. I love
it's
it.
just a different level of comfort. Like I said, like I've known him for so long. I see him all the time. And he was so down for it. And now he's like, babe, every party I go to, everyone just wants to feel my balls now. I was like, love
there
that for
you
you.
go.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I've also like recently did a post with my friends Drew and Sean, and we talked to like about them doing girth enhancement and scrotum filler together. They're a couple, and I do lots of couples come into the practice to get procedures done together, which I think is really nice. Like feeling like you're kind of having fun with your significant other and feeling like it's like going to the gym together, right? But you're like, oh, let's go get like little tweaks and enhancements together. So that's kind of what I've seen as a huge uptick in traffic in terms of what people are doing these days, what men are doing. And my practice when it comes to sexual enhancement procedures is very 50-50 straight and gay, which is always interesting to meet the straight guys because a lot of them are really cool. And I think that their guys are usually very supportive of their girlfriends and wives and partners haven't had like Botox and lip filler, and they're like, well, finally something for me, like I'm so excited about this. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
cool.
well, that makes sense because I was really curious about how and why the straight guys have found out about injectables and cosmetic surgery. So that's fun to know.
Yeah.
When it comes to penis filler, we're talking more about girth versus length. And am I correct on that? That
You do get flaccid length. So like it won't change the erect length, but your flaccid length will actually increase and sometimes it's quite a bit. So a lot of guys like do girth enhancement or penis filler for different reasons. I think a lot of people always speculate that it is to just make them bigger in the bedroom and for sexual purposes, which is actually I would only say is about half of the reasons why. A lot of men really want to enhance the size of their bulge or their appearance in the locker room and their flaccid
Mhm.
state because I mean a lot of most 80% of men identify as being a grower and not a shower, and so with filler you actually physically modulate that retraction, and so you're not really able to fully retract all the way, and so you kind of hang a lot more. You become a shower, and for a lot of guys, that feels very empowering and they boost their confidence in, whether they're at the beach or in the locker room or even just like when you're walking around your partner before or after sex, right? You kind of don't feel like you always need to be sort of warmed up to feel empowered and big down there. So it's people get procedures done for very different reasons, and I think that it's all valid.
I think that's such an important point to bring up that, yes, many of us are fine when it actually comes to the duty or the fun of sex, but just like at the naked beach I go to, you just want to feel confident in that. And that could lead to meeting somebody and that confidence, or just by yourself, feeling confident on your own. So
Yeah.
you bring up such good points. And that would be something that I would, because like many, I'm a grower, not a shower, but I like that idea of just that how that could help. Just one follow-up question to that. How safe, I know we've asked you this before, but just for our audience that are newer, how safe are these procedures and how long will they last?
Yeah. So penis filler is very, very safe when utilizing a cannula. So a cannula like looks like a needle. It looks, I guess in videos it's always scary, but
Yeah.
it looks like a long needle, but it's actually it's blunt tip, so it's not sharp. So you kind of poke a little hole and then you slide on through with the cannula, and it's basically just below the surface of the skin. Nothing's going into the erectile tissue. The blunt tip of the cannula allows it to be safe because it's nearly impossible to kind of pierce through a vessel because it kind of just bounces off of them because it's not sharp. So what I always tell people is that if you're seeing a licensed professional and they're using a cannula for penis filler, you're almost always going to have a safe encounter. What really comes down to who you're picking is, yes, credentials, blah, 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 all of that stuff. Let's say that's, rest assured, is someone who has the aesthetic eye, because that's actually the harder part. The safety aspect of it for penis filler is not, it's not a high risk area. But when it comes to the aesthetic aspect, you're going to really want someone who does this procedure day in and day out and make sure that their portfolio of before and after photos really aligns with the aesthetic that you're looking for. I'm huge on portfolio no matter what it comes to, whether it's facial injectables or sexual enhancement procedures. Like if you're going to go get surgery done, like you should always be requesting before and after photos and making sure that they align with what you're looking for. And I have a huge portfolio for this procedure because this is like what I do for a living. But if it didn't meet someone's expectations, then I think that that's super valid. And I'm like, well, then you shouldn't do it with me. So I think that that's really what you should be looking for. In terms of how long the results last, more or less like 2 to 3 years, slowly fades away. I'm very just like upfront and transparent about like what that means. And I kind of tell people like basically every quarter you will notice that everything's a bit smaller. Right. Because like nothing just like, oh, it's like been 2 years, like just goes away. Like it's a progressive, slowly fading away.
Sure.
Most guys get it touched up about once a year, and the maintenance is typically about like half of what you did the first time. So if most guys start off with like 15 syringes for their penis, sounds like a lot because on the face you wouldn't really ever do that many, but very different area. And so let's say you do 15 syringes in a year, you'll probably do 7 or 8 just to maintain the same size.
Okay. Well, yeah, all this needle talk has got me a little bit on edge. I don't like needles. So for our listeners, how high is the pain threshold for something like this? Does it hurt at all? I don't know. I have a very low tolerance for pain, so I'm very curious.
It's actually painless. So I know that sounds like what? So if this is your penis, the nail bed being the head, this is the base. The only thing you'll feel that day is I'm going to give you a nerve block in your pubic area. So not even in your penis, in the pubic area, you'll get an injection of lidocaine. It'll be about 7 seconds of a quick little pinch and a burn. And then your penis actually goes numb. Kind of like going to the dentist where you get like a nerve block, same concept. You're numb for about like 2 hours. So after that injection, I will also cover you with numbing cream to block out the superficial nerves. And all in all, you numb for about like 10, 15 minutes. And then you feel nothing. The patient gets laughing gas also to relax and just kind of ease their anxiety. I put music on in the background, and the actual injection process takes me about 10 minutes. So this procedure is completely painless, super easy. I tell people all the time, if you've had Botox done, like this is easier than Botox.
Oh, yeah. And I've had Botox with you, and it was great. I didn't feel hardly a thing. So
yeah. This is even easier. Yeah, people are literally like, because I, obviously have patients that have done quite a few things with me. I'll always say the most painful thing that I do in my office still to date is lip filler. It's just, you can numb it, and like there's so many nerves in this area, and people still feel it. So yeah.
Well, one thing that's become so popular, BBL, Brazilian butt lift, it is from everything from Cardi B, of course, Kim Kardashian. On the female side, I'm curious to see, I know you offer it. How have you seen it in our gay males? Is it something that we can all do squats. I do a ton of squats. Cody has a perfect Puerto Rican booty, but not all of us are
I
built
think
with
it's so
that.
little.
How have you seen the trends change for men, gay men, and what can you say about it?
Yeah, I think that everyone wants a nice, cute little perky butt. What I offer is a non-surgical approach to it. So I do. Again, I'm always super transparent. I never want someone to ever feel like they are signing up for something and not getting the results that they're looking for. So if someone is looking for a significant amount of volume and they have like donor fat available, so fat in like the flanks or abdomen, I'm always going to refer for a surgical BBL. They're going to get the best bang for their buck, literally, as long as they're medically fit and cleared for surgery. But if someone's already like very lean, has no minimal to no really fat for donor fat, or if they're just looking for more of like a more toned, like rounded aesthetic that they're trying to build on, then that's where a non-surgical BBL comes into play. I use Radiesse. It's a calcium-based filler. That's a filler and also a biostimulator. It's actually also what I use for jawlines, but for the BBL, you basically mix it with a bunch of saline, and you're able to distribute it along subdermally and also to the superficial fat, and it gives you volume, a modest amount of volume. The one advantage of a non-surgical BBL over the surgical BBL, besides like the recovery and the safety and blah blah blah, is that there's actually also an improvement for tone and texture. And so, a lot of my patients who get this procedure done, yes, there's the millennials who will get this done for more of like the volume enhancement and that little extra pop that they're not able to get at the gym, and they're already probably super fit and they just don't really have any like donor fat. But also the more mature male who is in like late 40s, 50s, who might be more self-conscious about kind of like the aging buttocks, right? We don't, I, a lot of patients will come in and they'll kind of reference like Sex in the City, right? Where was it Samantha who referred to some guy having
Oh,
old
yes.
man ass?
Oh, when she had sex with
Right,
with the older
right.
gentleman,
And it was
Yeah.
and it
flat.
So
was a
I'm
Yeah.
not
flat
really
pancake.
familiar with the
Yeah.
episode, but people mention it all the time to me. They're like, Chris, I have old man ass. And as we age, the butt starts to invert, right? It kind of creates this like triangle. This is amazing for that because Radiesse doesn't just create volume, but it also helps to actually tighten up skin and improve
Oh.
texture because it creates your own body's collagen and elastin to enhance that. And so I've done wonders for fixing old man ass. So
Oh.
that's really where I see like the benefit of a non-surgical BBL is improving contours, irregularities, while also still finessing with volume. So it's definitely multifaceted. It's a great option for people who are within sort of like their weight goals already, and they're looking for that a little extra pop. I think it's a fantastic procedure with like minimal downtime.
I
Love
love
that.
it.
Love that. I was very curious about undetectable filler and where do you put it? How can you put it in me? I haven't said that in a long time, but like what is undetectable filler? And yeah, just tell me all about it.
Yeah, I like to distinguish, I think, between like filler for the purposes of like visible augmentation and then filler that's more kind of like restorative, which kind of falls into the category of like what you're saying, undetectable filler. Because in my practice, I think I'm probably definitely much more known for like those distinguished augmentations where you see like the nice like razor sharp jawline and like
Yeah.
the chiseled cheek, which is not what you're talking about. Like
Okay.
this is really much more where if someone has a before and after, like you see that difference. That's very nice and clear cut. Now, what you don't really get to see a lot of my social is like people coming through for more of what you're talking about because those are people who are more quiet about it, right? Like they don't really
Mm.
talk about it, and they're not really looking for an augmentation. They just want to feel and look refreshed, look less tired. And it's really just meticulously placing filler in certain areas. Usually it's a little bit in the mid face for people who are very thin. This is an area that you'll want to restore just to kind of, get that light bouncing off the cheek. very superficial light placement of the nasolabial fold. Sometimes actually doing a little bit of lip filler. People sometimes think that lip filler is always augmentive. It really depends on what filler you use. Some of them are much thicker and more robust and will create that volume. Others are very, very thin and just really meant for hydration, because the aging lip is prone to those fine lines and wrinkles. And if you look at someone's lips when they were 30 versus when they're 50, they're smaller and they look more dehydrated, kind of like grape to raisin, right? And then also like very conservative jawline filler to just make sure that the face looks very separate from the neck. So it's putting a little bit of filler everywhere versus putting more focused on certain features where you're trying to really distinguish it out. Okay. That's what I think would be more addressing what you're mentioning.
Thank you. Yes,
I love it. Oh my gosh, we could talk to you all day long. In this Pride season, are you seeing a lot of people come into your business right now for as the summer approaches, or what are some of the trends you're seeing right now?
So for Pride season, my number one procedure is always Holtox. So Holtox, for those who don't know, is my trademarked name for anal Botox. I always say I did not invent anal Botox. I learned it from working for a proctologist. And so it is a fantastic procedure for people who feel like they have generalized anal tightness or have a history of anal fissures or hemorrhoids. It's fantastic for kind of relieving a little bit of that excess pressure. No, you don't lose functionality. All the functionality is preserved. You're not going to have any accidents. It just kind of makes things a little bit more comfortable for you and less susceptible to injury. So as the kind of summer kicks off and Pride season comes to its fruition, a lot more people want to engage in more bottoming practices or play down there. And so Holtox really starts to kick up. I typically do about 3 Holtox procedures a day on an average day. And then during Pride season, it can easily be like 5 or 6 a day.
I love it.
So you're responsible for all those beautiful buttholes I've been seeing.
Yes, exactly.
All those buttholes that are very active.
Well, Dr. Chris Bustamante, we love you. We want you to come back every single time. You can go to lushfulaesthetics.com to find out more about the procedures that he offers in New York City. You can follow him at Injector Chris on Instagram. Any other things you want to tell us before you leave, or follow you in any other way?
I also opened up a satellite location in San Diego. So I'm out there once a month now. So for anyone who is West Coast based or closer to the West Coast, it's a great place to come over and see us. We're in La Jolla, San Diego. Very convenient to, yeah, it's gorgeous. Very convenient to the airport too. So if you're flying in just from a closer area, it's very easy. But yeah, everyone have a really fun, safe Pride. And thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We will see you again soon, and we'll list all this on our show.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. You too.
Bye, babe.
Okay, moving right along. I want to bring back Cheryl Maida. We did this interview in August, but I really think she gave some really amazing tips on dating, finding true love, and if you haven't done it, you should get into her database. You'll know what I'm talking about in just a second, but let's get into and revisit our interview with Matchmaker Cheryl Maida. Hello to Cheryl. Let me introduce you. We're really excited to have special guest Cheryl Maida, a matchmaker for the modern man and LGBTQ plus community. You are the director of matchmaking at matchmaking.com. We have so many questions for you. How are you doing? Welcome.
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Okay, well, let's just get right into it because so many of us trying to find love, and I know you are the go-to person at matchmaking.com, but why a matchmaker over, say, at least in our community, we look at all the apps, and most of us on this show, Cody can attest to it, we're unsuccessful finding love half the time with a lot of our listeners. Not you. Why a matchmaker?
Like, wait a minute.
So it all depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a one-night stand, if you're looking for quantity over quality, then yes, go to the apps. If you're looking to finally settle down and you want to find that one person, That's what matchmaking provides. We are able to give you quality. We are able to present gentlemen that have exactly what you're looking for, your values, your lifestyle, and who the majority, probably 99% of them, are all want monogamy. And I have learned that you're not going to find it on the apps. So that's why we have been so successful, because the men that come to us are ready for a real relationship, not one night stands.
Yeah, I
Nice.
mean,
I
I
love
read
that.
something before in an interview you did that you're screening people all the time to see if somebody is really ready for a relationship. So, in other words, if somebody, maybe they're a widow, they lost their partner of years and years and years, but it's maybe too soon. They want to get into a new relationship, and maybe it's too soon. Or, as we experience on the apps, there is a lot of flaky guys out there. What's the screening process like, and how do you determine if somebody is ready?
That's a great question, because we all have different backgrounds, right? Some of us have been single for years. Sometimes you're in a very long committed relationship or marriage, or as you said, sometimes you're widowed. Usually, when I have someone on the phone, I do ask them, where are you in your life? If you were in a 10-year relationship and you broke up a week ago, my advice is be alone for a little while. Be
Hold on.
comfortable to be alone. Actually, go date. Enjoy the apps. Get out there. Usually, when people come to us, they have been there and done that already. They are ready to settle down. I have spoken to several widowers, and usually by the time, it takes someone a while for them to pick up the phone and actually reach out. So, what I've noticed is that when someone is up to that point, usually they've thought about this for months. They have been a widower or have been alone for a while, and they are really ready to meet that one person. And that's what we find out as I interview them and learn about them and what they're looking for.
Well, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you. You really stress knowing what you're looking for when you speak. So, how do people know when they what to look for? And it seems like obvious to me, but what are your thoughts on how people know what they're looking for?
Yeah, it's interesting. So sometimes people come in with a checklist. If I tell you a checklist of 20 things they want, they've done their homework, they pull out their phone and they're reading exactly what they want. But I do have men that come in and they're like, Cheryl, I don't know. Whatever I'm doing is not working. So, you know what I always ask? It's almost funny. What don't you want? And they're like, oh God, well, I can tell you what I don't want. I go, beautiful. And this is going to help us know exactly what you're looking for. And I will jot down everything they're not looking for. And then all of a sudden we look at each other. He goes, you're right. So I guess that's what I'm looking for. So sometimes people don't know because they feel like they made these mistakes in the past and they don't want to repeat their mistakes. Usually it's
Mm.
not that you're going to repeat the same mistakes. It's going to be a different person. So you have to remember that you have to look at it very differently. So that's usually my way of doing it with everyone. And it works. It has worked.
Nice.
You
So I
have
need
a
to write
great,
down what I'm not looking for.
yeah. You have a great story, and I can relate to it because my sister is a recruiter, a technical recruiter, and we often work together. We'll be in the same room, and I hear a lot of, she's a really good listener, and she's really good at finding those exact candidates for these technical jobs. You are a former recruiter yourself, but it was
Mhm.
your father that was this. Tell us that story. Who got you into actually matchmaking, and what did recruiting help you with matchmaking?
Absolutely. So, out of college, I was a recruiter for 8 years. I helped people find high end executive jobs. I did that for 8 years and then I stopped, had my three children, and I was very fortunate to be home to raise them. So, when they started going to school, I wanted to do something for myself. I wanted to give back, and I couldn't decide what it is that I could do. Well, give me the flexibility of also taking care of my kids later in the day. So, my father, who's unfortunately not here anymore, but we were incredibly close, he called me up and he said, I got it. I have the best job for you. You should become a matchmaker. Now, remember, this was almost 16 years ago. So the apps were just coming out. Matchmakers, they were like unheard of. I got
Yeah.
so upset with my father. I said, a matchmaker? Who do you know that's a matchmaker? He said, listen to me. You always loved interviewing people. You loved matching them up with the jobs that you thought that they would be good at. You loved helping people. He's like, Cheryl, think about single people. It will never go out of style. So
That was
I
good
told,
text on that one. Good job, Papa.
yeah, exactly. So that's how it all began, and that's how I started. And I started on my own over 15 years ago, and it brought me to where I am today.
Love that. I love that.
Bravo.
And it seems like you have the knack for it because I read somewhere that you've had some one and done matchmaking dates that you've done.
I did.
Yeah, is that true? Okay.
For the best. Yes. I always say I'm not a magician, but sometimes the sun, moon, and
I don't
stars.
know, girl.
Yes, it's very interesting. I had a gentleman today, this wonderful man, and as we were doing the interview, the Zoom interview, we're doing everything. I'm asking my questions, and as he's answering, I'm like, oh my God. And he started cracking up. I'm like, you are answering exactly like my client. And I went like this, like over here, and I'm watching. Oh, he was by the end of the interview, he's like, I am so excited. I'm like, you don't understand. You will have a date in 2 days because you guys are perfect for each other. And that
Wow.
happens
I
sometimes.
love that. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
witchcraft. I need to know how you
Okay, I
do it.
want to
I need that
move.
talent.
I want to move. We'll go back to what you do, but I want to move if you instruct people because a lot of people, if they've been widowed, they haven't gone on a date in a long time. Cody and I have gone on dates several times with people, and we've gone on good dates, but bad dates. What makes for a good date and what's a bad date? So at
Okay.
least listeners can get tips and tricks on this.
Yeah. So I always want to preface with there's no such thing as a perfect date. And you have to
Okay.
remember that. Okay. There's no such thing. You're going to always leave a date probably saying the things you loved and maybe the things you didn't like. So for me, I always say this is the best advice. When you go on the date, be the date that you want to have. Be a good listener. Ask questions. Don't make it like an interview. Ask questions because you really want to get to know someone. And I always say, be a better listener than talker because nobody has ever given me feedback and said, well, I didn't like him. He just listened too much, ever. Right?
It's the other way around. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
that's true. Yeah.
Exactly. Great eye contact. And if you leave a date saying to yourself, my God, wait, we were here for 2 hours. I can't believe that was 2 hours. Or wait, there's so much more I want to know about that guy. That's a good date. And you don't necessarily, the first time, have to be 100% sexually or physically attracted. I always want everyone to understand that because so many times we have different attractions we don't even realize. Maybe we're attracted intellectually. Sometimes you have all these different types of attractions that go on, and it doesn't necessarily have to be physical or sexual first. So I always have this 2 date rule that if you
Okay.
leave a date and you don't have a bad time, and even if you're like, you know what, I'm not so sure. Go out on that second date. I can't begin to tell you how many people are together for
Really?
years now because I pushed them to go on that second date. Yes.
Oh,
You also
wow.
say,
That is
which,
so thought-provoking.
yeah, you said something in one of your interviews that you can always get something out of it, even if you're not feeling it in that date. And it reminds me when I went on a speed dating of several years ago, didn't meet the man of my dreams. However, I met a friend that Cody and I are now still friends with all these
Yeah.
years later, and he's one of our dearest friends. And so I did get something out of it in the end, which was really nice.
Yeah, and you know what? Whether it's a friendship, I have people that are traveling. A gay couple I set up didn't hit it off romantically because they don't have someone. They are traveling together. I have people that do business together. And you want to hear the best part? I've had people meet, come back and tell me feedback and say to me, Cheryl, he was so wonderful. He's not for me, but you don't understand. I have someone amazing for him. And come back and
What?
meet somebody. Swear to God that has happened many times actually. So
That's
you never know.
amazing.
Right. You always get something. You can always bring something positive from meeting someone. That's my opinion. You always can.
That's beautiful. I love that. But you did mention sexual chemistry. So I want to know how important you think that is in a match because I do hear that you asked your gay clients if they are a top or a bottom. So speak
Right.
on it.
Right. So now, and I love this. This is great. So sexual chemistry. Okay. We all want, right, after the first date, the butterflies, oh my God, I can't wait to kiss him, right? We all want that. But sometimes on a first date, people are nervous, right? People, they aren't themselves. So do I think sexual attraction is important? Listen, if you have it on the first date, wonderful. it doesn't mean that's going to be your lifelong partner. The second date, because I always think that fades. What really stays is values, the friendship you build, the companionship, the trust. So, in my opinion, that's so important. And to get back, yes, I do ask about top or bottom because I had found, and it took me a little while. And I remember when it was my first, one of my newer gay clients years ago had said to me, you didn't ask me a very important question. And I'm going through my thing. I'm like, what was that? And this was years ago, obviously. He's like, you didn't ask me if I was the pitcher or catcher. And I said, you're right. Because I wasn't sure where to go. Well, I became so comfortable at that because I realized how important that is. And when I ask it, the first things one of my clients will say to me, I'm so glad you're bringing this up because I want them to feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, that does make a big difference. It usually can make or break people meeting.
Wow.
I love that.
So interesting.
Yeah, I don't know in heterosexual land, but with a lot of gay men, age range usually isn't a problem. Where somebody is with their career or how much they make. I know with my female friends, sometimes that can be a big deal. It still can be with our community as well. How much emphasis do you put on that? Or do you simply go by, you ask them these questions, and does that ever become an issue with gay men on age or how much you make?
No, that's a great question. So I have found that when I compare my straight clients to my gay clients, the gay clients have such a huge age range. Usually it could be anywhere between 15 and 20, sometimes 25 years. They could go younger, they could go older. So a lot of times that's very easy for me. The only time I would say profession comes into play, depending on what someone's profession is. But what I always say is my specialty or my niche are professionals. So I always want everyone to know everyone can financially take care of themselves. I am not looking to sign someone up to be someone's sugar daddy or to look for a sugar daddy. And that's whether you're gay or straight. So I very much emphasize that. But I would say at the end of the day, the most important thing I have found is that men are looking for monogamy. My gay clients are like, Cheryl, that is by far the most important thing, that if you can find me a man like that who fits a few of my criteria, hey, I can't wait to meet him.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool because we find that a lot of, we are a sex podcast. We find that a lot of the questions about this are about open relationships. So this is very refreshing that monogamy comes up so much. So it's like a balancing act. I feel like, some people want it, some people don't want it. So that's cool. But I understand that you hold events for your clients as well. What does that look like?
So we have done them in the past. We are restarting them up again. And basically what they are, they're mixers. They're for clients or members to come and for courts to physically meet one another. And remember, everyone has been screened, vetted, and interviewed. And that's one of the wonderful things. You could feel safe. You could rest assured that when you meet someone from us, that's who they are. That's their age. That's their profession. Because you don't, like, as I said, on the apps, you never know who you're meeting, right? No one is doing that screening process. So that's a big positive when it comes to a matchmaker, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll tell you my age. Okay, never mind.
Okay, well, we all know. So you're the director of matchmaking at matchmaking.com. We all know that it's probably not an inexpensive thing. You have to be a professional, like you said. But there's 3 different tiers that you can go under. Briefly tell us about what the procedure is over at matchmaking.com and how it works if you were to, meet up with you in particular and finding love.
Absolutely. So you have 2 options. You may become a client, which is the paying gentleman, or a member. So if you are a client, you have 3 options. The options start at $5,000, go up to $15,000. And that all depends on how many dates you're guaranteed and for what time frame. Or if you want to get your feet wet, you want to just get out there, but you're not interested in becoming a client just yet, you may become a member. That is 100% free. You fill out a profile. So therefore, we have a guarantee for the clients. We work for the clients, we recruit for the clients, and market for the clients. The members don't have any guarantee. We could call you in a week, we might call you in 6 months or a year, but at least you have that opportunity to meet a wonderful vetted client of ours.
Wow, I love that. So there's
Yeah, me too.
opportunities for all. Yes, I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have a
Nice.
great group. You have no idea. Every morning I come in, there are new men that have signed up. Oh, it makes my day. It's we are
Oh,
so
love
busy.
that.
It's great.
And do you have to be in the Miami area, the Florida area, in order to
I
be
think so.
matched?
You can be anywhere. So, of course, because I started here, yes, a lot of our clientele and members are over here in Florida, but we actually now have various clients throughout. We have some in New York, we have a few other states, and we are growing all over the place. So, no, you do not need to primarily be
Okay.
here. Yeah.
I love that.
Love it. Well, one of the issues that often happens in dating that we are often giving advice on is the follow up, ghosting. Do you hold your clients accountable, or even, I guess, a member too? Because let's just say a member decided to go out with one of your clients, and what's that follow up procedure? Are you involved? But
Yes.
you hold your clients and members up to a certain protocol, so there is no things like ghosting that we have to deal with on Grinder and all those other apps.
Right. So that is probably the most valuable thing we do is the follow up, and we give the feedback after every first date. So two people go out on a date Saturday night. Sunday, I'm calling both parties. I want to hear what you thought. What did you like? Is there any constructive criticism? Would you like to go out again? And then I share the feedback. So I will tell you 100 out of 100 times, there will be no ghosting because we follow up. And as I said, a
Okay.
lot of coaching goes on too. So sometimes I have spoken to clients where they're a little hesitant, they're not sure. And as I said, my little 2 date rule, and they have gone out. I had people, as I said, together for years because of the feedback, and we were able to help them, push them in the right direction, and now they're together. And a lot of people have said that if I was on an app, I would have, I'm waiting for the guy to call, he's waiting for me to call, nobody's calling, and then they're like, forget it, I'm on to the next. But that won't happen with us.
You
Yeah.
know what's really good, and you mentioned it, you said feedback, and it reminds me of recruiting where you often get that feedback as well. You don't ever get that feedback pretty much when you went on a date with somebody, and whether you want it or not, you don't get it. And
Yeah.
constructive criticism can be so helpful and beneficial to not making those same mistakes, and I just think that's real. I mean, that's why you're doing this. That's so
Yes,
wonderful.
and I think the feedback is so wonderful because even if the date doesn't lead to a second date, if I'm able to give you any little tips, any little pointers, so for the next date you're more successful. Like I always say, my clients and I, we are a team, and I'm here with them to really, the end result is for them to find someone through us. I always say I never want someone to resign because they won't have to. And that's what I always hope to happen with everyone.
Oh, I love that. Well, since we're on the topic of tips, do you have any tips for the boys out there that are dating right now?
I want people to be encouraged that there are so many more men out there that are looking for monogamy and real relationships. And I hear this all the time that there's no one left. I'm busy. So there are men left. And if they are interested, to go to www.matchmaking.com, please fill out a profile. You will speak to someone in our company. We will be able to explain everything, answer anything. And I always want to give people hope because I am such a big believer. There is a lid for every pot. There really is.
I love that. Thank
Cheryl,
you.
thank you so much. Can people follow you as well, or should they just go to matchmaking.com?
They could go to both. Absolutely. My name is Cheryl Maida. And as I said, our company is www.matchmaking.com.
Thank you so much. This has
Thank
been so
you. It was
helpful.
so
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thanks so
thank you for
much.
having me. Thank you so much. Have a
Yeah.
wonderful evening.
I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode. We are back live tomorrow night with Tags Live. You don't want to miss it. Go to tagspodcast.com and grab the link or follow us on social media. You can follow me at @IAM_Steve V, where you can see some stories from my wedding. More to come on that. Follow Cody at Mr. Maurice. And in the meantime, continue having hot, gay sex.